I'm Jason Hyde with G Magazine and the FrontRow Arts blog. I'm here at the Dallas International Film Festival with FAMKE Janssen or Janssen.
Wow, that was a good pronunciation. Yes.
Depending on how you pronounce it. She's here with her directorial feature debut, bringing up Bobby. So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
How long has this film been sort of gestating?
Long time. About 5 years between the time that the idea came about and now that we're coming out this year on October 12th. So,
okay, sure.
Yeah, it'll be just about 5 years at that point.
So what was that first germ of an idea that got this started?
The first germ of an idea was actually in Paris after my first visit to Oklahoma. And my boyfriend and his family are from Oklahoma, so I had visited his family, and I was taken at how different it was from the America that I had come to know for all the years that I lived in New York. Because New York, of course, is its own country. But you think in the beginning when you live there that it's just the rest of America. And I traveled around, but hadn't really gotten to know other places like Oklahoma until I went there. And so that sort of started us talking about, what's it like being an outsider in the United States, and what are the perceptions that Europeans have about America and vice versa, and all that kind of stuff. And so out of that grew the idea of a woman who was living out her very skewed version of the American dream, which is one that's based on movies rather than a reality.
Okay, I think the beginning of the movie reminded me very much of Paper Moon.
Right.
The relationship between the parent and child, sort of, and that's kind of where I thought the movie was headed. A family of con artists on the run. Did you think of that movie at all?
I thought of many movies like Paper Moon. Like Bonnie and Clyde, which referenced in the very beginning of the movie too. Which Cassidy, the Sundance Kid, Thelma and Louise, Harold and Maude. There were most movies from that time period, from the 70s, and then a lot of movies from the 30s. Those were referenced throughout the film because they were such big influences. And so the idea was always that we had to have a familiarity with the storyline. That in the beginning it's fun. We know that these people are doing illegal things, but we love to go on this journey with them. But we know something's going to happen and it's not good. And that's really structurally what happens in this movie. It just takes a different, the point was to get them in the beginning of the movie, and then once we got them, kind of swing it around and do something different.
Why were you interested in the mother-son relationship?
I thought it was best served for the story because I thought that to put a little swing on or just do something differently with all the movies that I've referenced were all movies that had a specific dynamic between two people, but none of them had a mother-son. You had two friends like in Bush Cassidy and Bonnie and Clyde are lovers, and Paper Moon are the father and the daughter, and Harold and Maude, the obvious older woman, younger boy thing, but we just didn't have that version of it yet that I knew of, so I felt that was the spin that I could think of for that. And then in terms of the difference in tone, it's more that I always felt that, the two influences in the 1930s movies and a lot of the movies that I've referenced, Bonnie and Clyde and Bush Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and Harold and Maude, I think totally people were confused when the movies came out, and actually the reviews were all written about that they weren't sure whether to laugh or to cry or whatever it was in these movies. And I always have been a big believer that films should not be boxed in the way that I feel they have become more and more today, that we have to give it a stick. It's a comedy, it's a drama, it's whatever genre movie that we're watching. And to me, life is not like that. Life is more complex, it's more complicated. Out of the darkest moments comes humor, and out of humor comes tragedy. And so I wanted to play around with all of those ideas. There's layer upon layer in that movie, but you can just see it for what it is and think that it's a fun, entertaining movie. But a lot of thought went into it, and a lot of inspirations were behind it.
I was also interested in the use of music in the film. Very, very important to that. How important was that? Did you have a lot of input in that process?
Oh yeah, everything. Yeah. Everything I did put in because it was so much my baby. But the whole idea behind the music in the movie was always that we had two very different worlds. We had the world of the Ukrainian woman, and then we had the world of the Oklahoma kind of, music, which are two completely, the antithesis of one another in terms of music. And so what we did was the first and the last song, the two married each other. So, I mean, in terms of the first song is Proud Mary. It's sung by Mila Jovovich in Ukrainian. And the last song is The Flaming Lips, and they're singing Amazing Grace phonetically in Ukrainian.
Those sound great.
Aren't they great? Yeah. So they're just, you know, there were ideas that I had, and I wanted to see if I could play around with marrying the two so that you begin this movie with that sense of familiarity. We've seen this movie before. It's a catchy song, but there's a spin on it because the song is not just Proud Mary, it's Ukrainian Proud Mary. So it's different from anything we've had. Yeah. And so in the end, again, too, it's this sort of, she's embracing American culture, but she still is a Ukrainian at heart. So it's now Amazing Grace sung Ukrainian. So there are things like that about the film that we really played with. Visually, everything that I wanted to put in there, all these, the new and the old, you know, and then that crazy building that's called Pops with the bottle in the beginning that circles. It just looks like it's a fake shot in there, but it's real and it's there. And, you know, there's just, and that whole old feeling of like, you know, Bonnie and Clyde type of landscape and trains and things like that. Those were the things that inspired me as a filmmaker, and so they inspired me when I came there thinking, I know this place, but it's different than what I ever thought it was.
So you're taking the film to a lot of festivals now?
Yes.
And they'll be released in October.
October 12th.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, taking the
And I hope the
time.
premiere goes well tonight.
I so want it. You never know.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.